In this lesson, we're going to look at how to evaluate a series of additions and subtractions. And we're going to use the same trick that we did in the subtraction lesson. Everywhere we see a minus sign, we will change minus to plus, and we will then change the sign of the next number. And what this does for us is it gives us a whole bunch of additions, and that way, if everything is addition, we have a lot more easy time using our rules, and we can move things around and use the commutative property. So this is the best way to handle all the minus signs. Some of the numbers will have plus signs between them, and those numbers do not need to have these two steps done. But everywhere we see a minus, we will do this. So let's look at our first example. I have 7 minus negative 5 minus 11 minus negative 6 plus 19. So everywhere when you read this, everywhere you say the word minus, I want you to change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next number. So here I'm going to copy the problem again. Let's change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number. And here when I read this, I say minus 11. So since it says minus, I'm going to change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number. And here, minus negative 6, I'm going to change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number. This says plus 19. Since there is no minus sign, there is no need to do the change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number bit, because this is already a plus. Now we can go through and add our numbers left to right. 7 plus 5 is 12. And I simply copied the rest of the problem. 12 plus negative 11 is 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. And 7 plus 19 is 26. So clearly you don't have to write all of these steps in between here. I would love it if you could just go straight across here and come up with the answer. But I wrote this simply for your notes. Here's a new example. 10 plus negative 12 minus 4 minus negative 3 plus 6. Everywhere we encounter a minus sign, we are going to do the two steps to convert it to addition. So this says 10 plus negative 12. Since this is already plus, leave it alone. Go to the next one. This says minus 4. Since this is a minus sign, let's change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next number. So instead of minus 4, it becomes plus negative 4. Now do the next one, minus negative 3. Change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next number. Now look at the next one. It says plus 6. It's already a plus form, so I'm not going to do anything to it. Now all of my minus signs have been changed to plus signs, so let's go left to right. 10 plus negative 12 gives us negative 2, and here I copied the rest of the problem. Okay, negative 2 plus negative 4 is going to be negative 6, and I see that I have left off a plus 6 here. That came from there. So when I did 10 plus negative 12, I got negative 2. Now negative 2 plus negative 4 is negative 6, plus 3 plus 6. Now negative 6 plus 3 is going to be negative 3, and negative 3 plus 6 is going to be positive 3. All right, one more example for us. We've got negative 19 minus 8 minus negative 6 plus negative 21. So again, go through and read the problem, and everywhere you say the word minus, you change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number. So this says negative 19, leave it alone. Minus 8, change the minus to a plus and change the sign of the next number. This says minus negative 6, change minus to plus and change the sign of the next number. This says plus negative 21. Since it says plus, leave it alone. So now everything is plus signs. Let's go left to right. Negative 19 plus negative 8 is going to make negative 27 because they're both the same sign, so we add them and keep their sign. And here I've copied the rest of the numbers. So now negative 27 plus 6, they're different signs. Subtract them and you'll have negative 21 plus negative 21. Now both of these are the same sign, so let's add them together and keep their sign. So that will make negative 42.